10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Liftoff. We have liftoff of the Mortgages and BS show with Tom Smith and yours truly, BT, and a show that's destined to be what, Tom?
Fun.
And what did you just crack open there?
Coors Light.
Exactly.
Away
we go. Joe Anderson, good to see you, brother. Thanks for being a part of the show today.
Nothing's changed. The last time I saw Tom, he was double fisting Coors Lights, too. So.
Life be the same.
Told you it was going to be fun.
Years pass and life is the same.
Meanwhile, you and I are Mr. Responsible, drinking our coffee and our water.
Say, cheers to the water there, Joe.
Go.
Hey, good to see you.
Easy now, guys.
Yeah,
Slow down.
But
it might be
you're going to go
rum.
work some more when you leave here. I'm going home.
This
My
is
weekend
true.
has started. And BT, well, I'll bet he has a cigar and a cocktail within an hour of being out of here.
Probably got a good.
I might, too.
Probably
I
got a
might
good
not
thought
answer the
going
call
on
from
there,
the clients
Tommy.
and just go home.
Yeah. Just be all done.
Yeah, battery's dead on
Just
the phone.
be all. Oh, you know what? That happened to mine too. Geez, what
Battery
do you know?
just died on
I
you
might.
like
yeah.
that.
What do you know? I might just have to get that cigar and cocktail. Sorry.
Cigars this weekend. You got to use them to light the fireworks.
Exactly, Tom. Another exactly. You got to have something to light.
Hey, where
the
should I go to
fireworks.
buy fireworks? Because I told the kids we'd get some.
Right.
And I'm not going to Target to get fireworks.
No.
The fireworks are awful there.
They're
Is there any? I don't want to drive all the way to Wisconsin
It's not
because
that far
they're
a
legal
drive.
here, right?
Oh,
They're
Come
legal
on,
here.
from your place across the river, it's nothing.
We got plans.
No aerials fun. No aerials here. Everything that you buy in the
Oh,
state of
that-
Minnesota
you can't
that's
get it.
legal,
Yeah.
it's got to be.
So you got to go over and get what I call the bazooka type things. They shoot out, the
Yeah.
big guys like that,
Yeah.
and you get the big cakes. They'll shoot them off multiples and stuff like that. You can go and get everything like buy one get one free type stuff.
Really?
Drop a couple $100, you're set to go.
Just go to Hudson and
Just go across the river.
bring cash.
Yeah,
Bring cash.
and then a blanket in the trunk. You know.
Yeah.
You sign a waiver because you're a Minnesota resident. That's it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've done it for years.
Go to Hudson, go to Casanova's, and pick up some fancy beer.
Just find yourself a dead body,
Yeah.
put that in the trunk
Yeah.
with a blanket, and then what you want to do then is
Yeah.
you want to slide the fireworks underneath the dead body.
Underneath.
So in case the trooper says, "Can I look in your trunk, please?" You open it up. There's all that there is they see is just
Right,
a dead
just that
guy.
dead
Well,
guy.
my
Dead
in Minnesota, the
and then
dead bodies
How'd
less
that
than
get
that.
here?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you take, and you know what he'll say,
Yeah.
or he or she will say.
Yeah.
Well, you take care of that body, Mister, and you drive safely, and then off you go.
No fireworks. You know what I'll tell him? I'll tell him it's someone from the Kenny Chesney concert at Lambeau that I just picked up. He's still,
You know,
the guy is the guy
he's
that
just
dirtied his pants.
He's just sleeping.
That was,
he
that
dirtied
was
his
bad.
pants a week ago, and I'm still trying to get him home.
That was some very funny internet
awesome
audio.
was that?
That was some fun. Did you hear that, Tom?
I didn't hear the audio, but I saw the arrest deal for it. They were talking about how many
God.
people they arrested and all that kind of stuff. I was
geez.
like, wow.
How do you go
Unbelievable
to
numbers.
a concert like that? And what do you think they paid for the tickets?
Oh, geez.
75 on the
75
low
bucks
end,
minimum,
right?
yeah.
That's rafter seat,
Right,
and then
right.
$250, $350
Well,
down
they
on
had,
the
they
floor.
had fighting. They had drunken disorderly. They had, public urinations, you name it. I mean, it was unbelievable what they had.
So the last time you two came through town was the show at TCF Bank Stadium, right? Where the lightning and the thunder and the rain.
You mean Kenny Chesney?
No,
it's
you two.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Change it.
Well, when you said
No, the
you
two-
two, I
no,
thought
the two of us
No,
were
you
never
two. No,
there.
you two.
I was at the Stones concert at Rain, but
So
I
the
literally thought you
U2
were talking
show,
about the two of
like
us.
what 3 summers ago,
We do perform, but-
at the bank.
Yep.
I
was there.
Great show.
I was
mean,
there. The rain added to it.
all
It was
timer,
amazing.
Right?
Yep.
Guy sitting in front of me sat down before they hit the stage and passed out with his face in his lap. Passed out with his face in his lap, and they woke him up at the end of the show. He spent the whole show literally hunched over with his face in his lap. Missed the entire thing. Now, you have to get warmed up before you go to a show. But
Warmed up, yeah,
There's
but
getting
not-
warmed up, and then there's, hitting a grand slam.
And that was the grand slam for
Yeah,
that fella.
yeah.
He was totally, oh boy. I mean, did you anybody poke him every now and again?
No.
Or just, did
I think he used his back as a table and you rest the beers on it.
And his wife or girlfriend was there, and she just kept looking at him going, dumbass.
Yeah, geez,
We talked to her, and she said, he's stupid enough to get that drunk. He can miss the whole thing.
You know what, though? If you go to any event, you're going to find one person like that somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
The crowd. Whether it's a football game, a concert, whatever, you find that one person
Yeah.
that got overserved before they got inside instead of afterwards. and they're the ones that you make fun of, you draw on, you dump some beer on, you throw some peanut shells on. Heck, Joe, the last time I saw you, I drew a mustache on you.
No, that wasn't me.
Okay.
That was somebody else. I think that was you, actually.
I would make it a little toasty on some of those concerts when I was in my teens and 20s. I would make it through like 3/4, and then I'd be the dozer. I was the dozer. And then I'm going to admit to this, there were quite a few movies where I think I toasted her up a little bit, more before the movie, especially if it was, toasty car action and it was a wintertime movie, just because you're all bundled up and you got to take that jacket with you into the movie theater. And previews are done. I'm already out.
You happen to forget that you had something in the inside pocket of the jacket.
I spent $4-6, at a crack, sleeping through some of the best movies
crack?
ever. No, just each at a time, Tom. Sleeping through some of the best movies that Hollywood's ever offered.
Think about it. You used to go to concerts, right? You could smoke cigarettes, smoke pot, whatever you were smoking when you were in there. People had their lighters, their stuff for the encores.
Right.
So you take that whole smoking thing away, right? You can't smoke and all this stuff in public places. Why is it when I go to a concert, I still see people lighting up?
Well, I don't think that rules necessarily change behavior. You're not supposed to use a handheld device while driving either.
Yeah, and somebody texted me while they were trying to park.
I was at a stoplight.
Even then, rules apparently don't change behavior.
And at your concert, your security at a concert, generally speaking,
it always cracks.
is a little more concerned with someone. They're more concerned with somebody standing in the aisle than they are with what's going on 8 seats in.
It always cracks me up because you're sitting there, and even at the Stones concert, I'm sitting there going, skunk.
Yeah.
I'm trying, and I'm looking around, and everybody's my age, so it's like, okay.
But it's all surreptitious oneies. There's no open,
that's it,
really no open, flamey, joint passing or anything like that.
They're not hitting the bong. You don't hear the bubbles in the background.
The first time
that was always the dead giveaway in college.
The first concert that I took my daughter, first concert I took my daughter to, she's 25 now, she was 7, was a Dave Matthews Band at Target Center, and we had some floor seats, and she was questioning the smells that were surrounding us, that whole evening,
Yeah, well, my son,
Daddy.
He was 10. We took him to that U2 show.
There you go.
And he got to witness the guy in front of us.
God.
He goes, Dad, what's wrong with him? I'm like, oh, God, he must have had a tough day at work, bud. I know. He's tired. But it's so loud. How can he sleep? I said, oh, he's like your mom, sound sleeper.
It's like when you used to go to
Probably not
football.
snoring.
Oh, you get Cindy, you go to a football game or a baseball game when the kids were younger. You'd have all those guys, two-fisted, they're hammered around me. And they're like drunker than hell. And my kids are like, well, why is he swearing and yelling so bad? And why is they saying the F word so much? And blah, 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 blah. It's like, they just don't know how to behave, kids.
Oh, tough day at work.
They don't
Tough day.
They don't have your mom.
Hard day at the office.
Oh, man.
Hard day. You couldn't pay me enough to take the kids to a football game. To a Vikings game? No way.
Not going to do it.
No way. That's why I bought a 50-inch plasma television.
We're going to watch her all right here.
We can sit right here.
Three-dimensional depth. It's looking good.
Ice cold beer in the fridge. It's $9.75 less than the one you're going to buy at the stadium.
What are you charging yourself?
Not a dime.
Let's count back the years real quick for our Mortgages and BS listeners here as to who Joe Anderson, Mr. Phunn, is. Now, we first crossed paths with you at the Big Clear Channel Radio Empire.
Yeah, in the Empire.
Yeah, and so, when did you start there? What did you do there during the course of your radio thing?
Where's my resume?
Well, you can recall it.
I can figure it out.
You can just generally put the years out there.
I can put it together because it would have been. It was Randy Moss's first season when I started there. So the two great ones started at the same time, basically.
There you go.
A couple of iconic people.
Well said, Phunn. Well
Moss
said.
and I started in 1997 at the Fan.
Okay.
And I was Bob Yates' sidekick.
Yeah.
And producer, which meant you just show up and give Bob a ride.
And Bob was doing the morning show.
He was doing the morning show. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
And then I had a short stint, like everybody else did, as the producer of the Chad and Barrero show.
Yeah.
That was over. I think I almost got to a year, which I thought at that time was a benchmark.
I thought you did longer than that.
No, and then I walked away, went into therapy, and then came back and worked with Dan Barrero I worked with Dan for 9 years.
Yeah.
9 years I was on
afternoons.
Yep, afternoons.
Doing the afternoons.
Left there, had to kind of go out on my own, spent some time sanding hardwood floors, which I still haven't recovered from that.
But then that was your own business, too, as I recall.
That was my own business.
Yeah.
I owned and ran that business, then I sold it. And then I came back I came back to a place across the river, Boulevard of Broken Dreams over on University Avenue.
There you go. Hubbard Broadcasting, 1500.
Yeah.
I remember it back in the day as the music station.
Yeah, and they're
15 KSTP.
Radio listeners probably don't realize I was there because, like now, nobody's listening to that station, and so they,
what are you saying,
they probably
Joe?
didn't hear it back then either. So I had about 3 years there.
3 years
and
there, okay.
Got out, and I've been doing residential real estate ever since.
And now, how you feeling about this gig? Are you enjoying it? It's
Yeah.
got to be, the personable. You're not stuck in a room alone with, a handful of people, some of whom you may like, some of whom you probably resent.
I work with a great group of people.
There you
I
go.
work with a good brokerage. They're Remax Results and John Colopy are fantastic guys.
And you're dealing with clients and people.
Yeah, I mean, you're
and
out doing stuff all the time and working. And it's good for me because my kids are at an age where they need someone at home to run them around and coach their sports and all that. So I'm running my own show.
Well, here's the thing that you didn't hit on. I mean, I've officially known you, almost 15 years
Yeah,
now, right?
yeah.
I've unofficially known you longer than that, right?
Right.
Joe, if I can call it Joe used to moonlight at a local establishment that I used to frequent. A very nice local establishment.
Yeah, it was nice, all right.
That is no longer there by the name of Bullwinkle.
It might be back, actually. I think some guys are reopening it.
What were you doing, Moonlight? What were you doing
Oh, I was
there?
a bartender.
Oh,
there
fun.
I was a bartender
Phunn, as
Yeah.
your nickname is
That's where I
spelled.
got the nickname.
Fun, is it?
That's where I got the nickname.
I was curious where that came from, and I was just riffing there, but that is where it
Because
came from.
I would play the music, and we'd get it going, and they'd say, "What's your name?" And I'd say, "I'm Mr. Phunn." And so I started putting that on my time cards. And so I'm sitting with Yates one day, and one of the things about Bob is Bob liked to give you a nickname, but he was really doing it just to be a dink, right? He was doing it so he could kind of look down his nose at you and call
condescend to you.
Jeff was the culture vulture.
Yeah.
He gave him that one. And so he says, you have to have a nickname. I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to give you the dumbest nickname I can come up with. Mr. Phunn, Phunn. And he looks at me like that's gold. And every time he'd say, Mr. Phunn, he kind of talked down to me when he said it. And it stuck. It wouldn't go away. And so it's still there. I at Funzy on Twitter, and I use it once in a while.
That's how I kind of remember Joe, because when I first met him, I was like, God, I know this guy somehow, right? And we used to go to Bullwinkle a lot.
Yeah.
For the tape. And the tape was Blues Brothers and Animal House. That's all it basically was. And it was one of those tapes they put on like 11:30 at night when everybody was pretty prime. Mm-hmm. And they put the tape on, and you would have people dancing on chairs and on the bar.
Biscuit.
And as long as nothing got broken,
Yeah.
Right.
they'd leave it on.
Then it was fine.
Then it disappeared, Joe. What happened to that tape?
I'll tell you exactly
tape.
I'll tell you exactly what happened. We used to have, because of that tape, at about 11:30, all the girls would go to grandma's, and all the schlumpy guys would show up in Bullwinkles to listen to that stupid tape. So we took that sucker and we put it in the garbage disposal, and we started playing ABBA and some of that. So the girls came back from grandma's, and then once we did that, the place would be just full of women dancing. We weren't dumb.
But wait a minute. No, wait. When you played the tape, I know for a fact my wife and I both were dancing on the bar stools.
Right. There's a woman was in with somebody.
One woman.
Right.
You're
man.
talking about having the bimbos coming in so the young guys can hang out.
Quantity over quality is what we're saying.
My wife was quality back then. She's going to take offense to that, Joe.
Well, no, I'm saying no. I said quantity. I just said she was quality.
Yeah.
I said quantity over quality. We were trying to get the masses in versus having the individual with their boyfriends kind of gals hanging out. We figured out. We sat down, 4:00 one morning after we'd been there all day and said, this is a bunch of BS. This place is all sausage. We got to change this.
All I know
this is no good for us.
Where's
had
that
some of the
garbage
most
disposal?
fun
Yeah.
That bar was a blast. So it really
We had a lot
was.
of
And I
fun.
know, and when they shut down, because remember, we used to talk about the Coney dogs and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I hope it does come back, because to me, when I first moved here in '87, I loved that place. I was there
fun.
before every ball game. I was there nonstop.
It was a fun way to make a living.
Fun.
When you're right out of college. That was my first job.
Is that right? That was the time frame for you?
The old man's, he looks at me and goes, hey, I got you an interview at Cargill. And I'm like, oh, damn, Dad, I just got a job tending bar on Seven Corners. Call me in 5 years, all right?
I got some
I'm not going to go work and put a suit on.
To do.
I got to go have some fun for a while,
fun.
So it was a good time. It was a lot of fun. Made great friends, got a wife out of it. Made great friends that I still see to this day. And,
and since that era, the whole neighborhood obviously has changed.
Oh, yeah.
The hotel and, the Dudley Riggs,
Grandma's is gone.
No longer there. And
Grandma's
gone.
Yeah.
Republic is in there where Sergeant Preston's
Yep.
used to be.
Yep.
And
Well,
the pawn shop isn't even in the neighborhood
I know.
anymore.
There's a case in point. They put the ABBA on. Michelle came in. Now he's married.
Oh, she was there before that. And she was there for the free beer.
She was there for the tape.
The first time she walked, she kind of batted her eyes at me, and I gave her a glass of beer, and that was it. It was over at that point.
All done.
It was all done. And she goes, "Wait a second.
All said and done for fun.
I can hop this guy's coattails for the next 30 years and never have to pay for a beer." Little did she know, she'd be the one with the real job, making all the bank while I'm out trying to sell houses and goofing around on the radio.
And taking Sanders to wood floors for a stretch there.
Good Lord.
Now, I remember you sold it, but you still kind of, what's the name of the company again? I forgot what the name was.
The flooring?
Yeah, the flooring company.
It was a Buff & Coat, hardwood flooring.
Buff & Coat. I remember you were doing that.
Yeah.
And you sold it off.
Yeah.
But I remember I talked to you. Man, I got dirt in my mouth. I've been sanding all day.
That was brutal. Hey, everything falls down, right? You can be a painter or a plasterer or a drywall guy, and when you're doing your job, you're just dropping everything on the floor, right? The last guy to come in, the guy that's basically the manure scooper of the home remodeling parade is the floor guy. I know guys that are artists. I mean, they are literally artists when it comes to hardwood floors. I was not an artist. I was a guy that was getting dirty and was lifting these things and, coming home with stain all over my face. And after a while, you just look at that and go, nah, that's
not for fun.
That's not for me.
Fun.
But let's switch for a minute. Okay, so you did the flooring thing.
Yeah.
You had the older house. You got the new house that is not really a new house, older house. The one thing you got out of that is all the do-it-yourself stuff, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, anyone can do it themselves. Can they do it
well
themselves?
Quality.
Yeah.
Okay. I saw your floors before and after when you posted them.
Yeah.
You did a great job on them.
And the new house?
Yeah.
Oh, I paid somebody to do that.
I thought you did that.
Are you kidding me?
Lie to me.
My guy Tom Haynes with Eagle Flooring.
I'm all done.
You want to get your floors done? You go call Tom Haynes with Eagle Flooring. He's the man.
I was all impressed. I thought Joe did it.
No. I pulled the carpet and the staples, and I called him, and he shows up. He goes, "You got to be kidding me!" I'm like, "Dark stain, let's go.
No Buff & Coat job
Get
there.
her done here.
Eagle. It was the big Eagle.
Oh, God, no, I paid someone to do that. Those days are over.
Did you miss that part
No.
where he said he was all done?
Yeah, those days are over.
Not going to happen. But that was a, 2-year, 3-year stretch or so?
Yeah.
I remember
It was
that.
a while. I was kind of doing it.
Yeah.
I've always kind of overlapped with things.
Well, yeah. I mean, you Moonlight where you're doing the thing. And I've all,
You know how it goes.
We all have like 4 gigs going at once.
Right.
Well,
you got to make the ends meet. You got to make sure the bills are paid. You got to make sure there's food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
Mortgage guys sit there and play on their computers and count money. Basically that's what they do.
And the rest of us, we're
out there working hard,
doing 3 or 4.
I sleep on my money. My mattress is made of money, right?
Right.
Ask my wife; she'll tell you.
Right.
Even the mattress in his Jimmy Buffett laden boat is made of money.
Oh my God! Don't talk boat. Don't talk boat.
Well, you came in here all frustrated about it. I think we better get that off your chest now.
It's 4th of July weekend. You don't have your boat ready to go by 4th of July?
No, we talked about this last week.
Ice went out in like March this year.
We were talking about the Minnesota Summer Song from from Johnny and stuff, and I was all pumped
Johnny
up.
Holm, his new song.
And my boat, I took the cheap route a couple years, and I stored it a little cheaper. And I had some issues with it flooding last year. So I took it in. The guy goes, I think it's in your carburetor. He goes, I said, great. Because I'll have it ready for you in the spring. So I call him up in April, and he goes, it'll be ready the 2nd week of June.
Wait, where'd you store it that it got flooded?
And by the way, officially, 2nd week of June is still spring. He's not BSing
It is. So I was okay with it because it was a little cool in May.
Yeah.
So then I call him up, and he goes, well, there's something that we can't figure out. He gave me this long, drawn-out story. He's talking about Mercury and Yamaha and blah, 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 and a beer can of chili and gas coming through and it's starting and all this stuff. I said, okay, cool. He goes, well, we'll get it figured out. I called him up yesterday. I said, yeah, I want to pick it up on Thursday night. He starts laughing. I said, you don't want to tell my wife this. My wife is furious. This whole boat thing this year is causing an argument.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not.
No, you don't want that to happen.
No.
So
it's your fault,
long and
right?
short, what I'm figuring they're going to do is I should have the boat back by next spring.
Right.
It's
Just
probably
in
going to
time.
cost me $4,000 or $5,000 by the time it's done.
Right.
But we will have Jimmy Buffett on the boat.
Yes, you will. Well, he did say early spring. He just didn't say which year.
What year it was?
Oh, you never go to Hayward Marine.
Oh, no.
Why don't you scrap it out and buy a new one?
Actually, I want to trade in for a pontoon, but
There you go.
But the new place I'm at, I don't have my own dock, so I got to
Okay.
put it in and out. And a pontoon to
That's
put in
hard.
and out is
You
kind
don't
of a pain.
wanna- You don't want to do
Tough to
that.
do.
So
Yeah.
we'll probably wait another year, and then we'll go to a pontoon.
Well, how did it get flooded?
Well, what happened was every time I'd go out, just like an engine flooding, right?
Yeah.
Gas and stuff.
Yeah.
So what he said was when it was stored, the guy, when they were winterizing, whatever they did with fogging the engine and all that kind of stuff, I mean, I'm not a mechanical guy like
Yeah.
that. He didn't do it right, so something happened to where it started to flood. And it would always start. But then it got to a point where I couldn't get the start anymore. And bottom line is, he said, there's a part in there that if you bypass the part, I inject gas, it'll start. I said, well, we'll just replace the part. And he goes, well, that's what we tried to do, but it's still not starting. Well, what we're going to do, take each part back and forth there and see what happens?
Process of elimination. Just take one off and every single part on the motor.
Can I just have $1 for the boat and call it a day?
Yeah. Wrap it up.
Like Joe said, scrap it out.
Scrap it out.
Time to do a new
Get
thing.
another one.
So instead, it's going to cost me $100 for one of those Bluetooth jams boxes this weekend, so my wife can have the iPod outside.
Yeah, that'll
So we're
work.
going to listen to Jimmy on the deck up at the cabin.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we'll be able to drink some beers to that.
Right.
And we'll watch the fireworks. We'll have a good time.
Yeah, and that's a good investment. Those little Bluetooth boxes for the to do the phone, tunes on the phone.
She's been bugging me, so I thought I'd break down. I mean, I have done a lot of business this year with.
I have one called Oonts, by the way. I love mine.
You have what?
It's called it's the Bluetooth thing,
right?
But it's called Oonts, OONTA, TZ.
Yeah.
Sort of like the bass sound, Oonts, Oonts,
Yep.
Oonts, Oonts,
Right.
Oonts.
Okay.
And because it's the bass sound on this thing, most of those Bluetooth speaker systems have a pretty tinny, overall sound, not a whole lot of Oonts, Oonts. This thing has remarkable bass sound.
Well, she saw something on the Today Show.
I'm going to throw that at you. Just
She saw
look
some
it
of the
up
Day Show
online.
today with a suction cup. You can stick it up against the side of your camper, your house, your
yeah.
car, whatever.
Yeah. So there's a lot of good accessories.
Every time
you
I
can
go
get.
home, it costs me money.
Oonts, 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 oonts.
And I got 3 kids in
Nice.
college.
Oonts, 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 oonts. What's
You don't need
$100?
to be spending $5,000 to fix a boat when you have 3 kids in college.
Scrapper. Just scrap
Scrap
her.
her out.
I'm going to get them all jobs at Clear Channel.
Sell it for parts. Boy, you'll pay your bills there, won't you?
I didn't really say that out loud, did I?
Oh boy.
You pay your bills there.
Well, it's no longer the name of the company, so I guess you can just. Get
Oh, I
away-
guess I can.
Yeah,
Just get
you
away
can go
with saying
ahead and
it.
rip them all you want.
There you go. It's just no longer that way. All right, we got to dig in a little bit because I really want to get into the realty part of your life.
Right. Let's rip on Clear Channel.
Well, we can rip on them a little. Yeah, I'm sure we'll find time before the end of the show to do that. But
We're only going to have you voice tracking in 49 of the 50 states.
Yeah,
okay.
that's right. And we're going to pay you the same amount of money that, the cost of living increases have been only about 0.5% for the last 5 years.
Well, that's because they paid Barrero all the money. I mean, come on. Let's face it.
Well,
He's earning it.
Danny Boy's numbers are looking pretty good.
Yeah, they're awful good over
They're
there.
awful good. He does just
He's
fine.
doing all right over there.
And puts together a quality show. I love listening to
Yep.
Barrero's show. Does a great show. I got to think, we were talking about this a second ago, being alone, in studios for a lot of the radio career.
Yeah.
You're just on your own.
Yeah.
Obviously, even when you got a Bob Yates or a Dan, you're the producer guy. You're in the other room. You're
Yep.
in a room alone.
Yep.
Even though you're in the midst of an audience out there. The realty thing and working, you're dealing with families, man. You're one-on-one with them. It's just, and I know the kind of personality you are, and that's why
Yeah.
I'm asking you in that context, because you're a very people-oriented person. I mean, when you and I first met in the hallways at Clear Channel, we kind of gravitated toward each other
Sure.
right away. Working on separate stations, didn't have a need to know each other, whatever, but, we just kind of hit it off right away. And so I got to think that this level in your career path now has got to be one that's a lot more heartwarming for you in a lot of ways.
Well, I think the thing that I really enjoy the most is kind of the business side of it, because
Is that
I
right?
never
Yeah.
had to deal with that. In radio it was prep, it was talk, it was entertain. I really like contract negotiation.
Cool.
I really like pricing. I like valuations. I
Isn't
love
that cool?
love doing the commercial side where you're talking about cap rates and you're the different ways that you value commercial properties, whether it's apartment buildings or smaller. I don't do any of the big stuff, but smaller industrial
Sure.
buildings. I love that part.
You
That's
never-
really fun for me.
You never thought years ago that you'd have Excel spreadsheets that much an integral part of your life, and then embracing what you learn from them and what they show you.
Right. Yeah. No, I like it. I like that.
That's
I like
cool.
the analytical side of it.
Well, what's weird is a lot of people say, hey, I'm going to sell real estate, right? I remember when Joe first told me this. I'm going, God, he's got the great personality for it, right?
Yeah, but you got to.
Some people don't realize they actually have to work.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like they think, okay, I get a real estate license and I'll sell real estate. Well, it's just like really, you got prep work, you got to prepare, you got to know what you're going on, you got markets, you got all that stuff. There's a lot more work there, and if you put the time in, and as you well know, you can be successful.
You can have some success. Yeah, I mean, you're still at the mercy of variables that you can't control.
Of the market,
the market,
interest rates, home values.
There's two sides to every transaction. You can't control the other side. When you're representing one side, and the other side has their head firmly up their backside. I mean, there's nothing you can do.
What can you
about
do?
it.
You can't.
So that's the frustrating part about it, because when you're in radio and in a lot of other, well, not a lot of other walks of life, but radio is one where you're pretty much controlling your product.
Yeah.
Your success or failure is based for the most part on your performance. This is the real world where suddenly it's not just you. You can go out and you can market and you can cold call and you can generate leads and you can follow up on them. But when it comes time to get to the closing table, both sides of the transaction have to be operating in a professional manner. That's probably the most frustrating thing to me. And sometimes it's nobody's fault. Sometimes it's a bad appraiser comes in and scuttles a deal, because he's having a bad day, and so he undervalues a home, and suddenly someone's got to come to the table with $20,000 and nobody's going to do it, so you blow the deal up and everybody goes home unhappy. I mean, different things can happen. It's the real world, and it's that's the frustrating part where you're used to having a lot of control. And
here you have none.
You've got none.
Or you have only some.
Only part of it.
Well,
So you do the best with what you have. You make sure you're the best at what you do or as good as you can be, and then you hope it falls into place.
And you've got variables in each place. I mean, you've got the title company that has different variables. You got the mortgage company that has the variables. I mean, they don't control the appraiser. They don't control the credit report.
Right.
You got the buyer's agent. You got the listing agent. You got the property itself. You got the city. You got regulations. You got the home inspector. I mean, there's so many goofy things, as you well know.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, and at some point in time, it's always going to be blamed. One person is going to get blamed. It doesn't matter who gets blamed. It's know who has control of it. It's like an appraisal. Like you said, the appraiser has a bad hair day, he appraises it low.
Yeah.
There's ways to work around that, but sometimes the value of the property really is X. Think about how many times you've gone in and guy, I want to list my house for $280,000.
Right.
This is what I want to list it
and you're
for.
thinking to yourself,
Right.
you're not going to get more than $240, dude. There's just no way. So you list it for $280. What, a month later, he goes, let's drop it $20,000. I mean, think about it.
Right.
You've got to be realistic, too.
It's interesting. When you start out in this business, and I've been doing it now almost 5 years, you want to please everybody. And so you walk in and the guy says, you know what, this house is worth $300,000, and it's a $275,000 house. I mean, I can do a market analysis now, and I can pretty much tell you within, 5% of where that house will sell.
By eyeballing what you see.
Just by looking at comps, because I'm looking at the exact same thing every other realtor is looking at. So when someone comes in and they're 20% over what that property is worth, I used to look at them and go, hey, it's your house. Go ahead, list it for that. That's fine.
List it for that.
To get the listing, put it on,
Right.
And
you need the listing.
Right.
You want to make the customer happy.
Now I look at him, I go,
Nope.
dude, there's no chance. Here's why. This is the reason why. And if they don't like that, then they can go try it with somebody else.
Okay, I got a perfect
Cut
example.
your loss right away.
You guys
Cut
are going to love this one.
Yep.
This is a real transaction. Was scheduled to close yesterday. Okay? Loans approved. Everything's set to go. Docs are out the door. Seller's not responding to the listing agent.
God.
All of a sudden, the seller responds today. Oh, I'm still traveling back from XYZ.
Yeah.
I'm in Michigan.
And they haven't signed the docs.
They haven't signed the docs yet. The buyer's waiting for this, right? So now I'm just watching my emails. Well, the selling agent just let us know that the seller should be available on Monday, but we're going to have to send the forms to this place here in Michigan because they're not going to. How the hell do you not know you're closing on the sale of a house?
Right. You're selling a home.
Right.
And meanwhile, so on the other side, if you're the agent representing the buyers, you have buyers that may or may not even have a place to live because they were planning on grabbing the keys for that home and moving in on that day.
Yep.
And so that's something you're on one side of that transaction you can't control. Now, I want to make sure, if people are listening, they don't think it's all bad. It's really rewarding. I closed a sale with a great family on Tuesday. First home that they've purchased.
What a gratifying feeling.
2 young kids.
Kids.
They're so excited.
Kids have a yard, new thing, new adventures, new school.
Absolutely. They'd been renting. They were so excited to buy this house.
I remember that day for us.
Heck
when that happened for us.
And
it was wonderful.
I do a lot of first-time home buyers. I work with a ton of and I love doing it because you get to educate them as part of the process.
Yeah.
And you're putting them, it's important to me to put them in a position where they're set up for their home buying for the rest of their lives. If you make that first purchase properly, and the market stays healthy, which you hope it will. There's reasonable thinking behind kind of the housing market now, so we're hopefully not going to see another bubble, hopefully. And so as they build equity and they move forward in their lives, they're going that first home will be the springboard they have for the rest of their lives. For that final forever home, which is maybe 2 or 3 down the road.
Or it may be that way. It may remain that one.
They might, yeah.
I mean, think about it. It's a springboard for your career too. I mean, when I started the business, it was all first-time buyers.
Yeah.
And that's all I did. Then you bought their second house or third house. I'm doing loans for people's kids and grandchildren now.
Sure.
Not to age myself, but I am.
Yeah.
And for you, I mean, starting off in the business with the people you're dealing with, I know some of obviously the business because we've dealt together. You're creating not just your business today, but you're creating your business for the future and the referral base.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's. I mean, it is rewarding. Buying a home is the biggest transaction for most of us that you're going to make, and so there's a lot of nerves. People are scared the first time. Now, my wife and I are on our third home. We just walk into the closing and just go, whatever, just tell us what to sign.
And you do this for a living.
Right,
too,
right. So but you have people when they walk in for that first time and suddenly they're looking at 30 years of mortgage payments.
Right.
That's the big one is when they look at that HUD statement and it says, here's the date you're going to pay your mortgage off.
Yeah.
It's going to be July something in 2045, and they're like, what?
Yeah, but as you know, it's going to get scarier come October because, like, now the Truth in Lending says if you borrow $100,000, you're paying back X.
Yeah.
Now that new disclosure says, and when you pay your loan off, 73% of it will have been interest.
Right.
And they'll see that big-ass number there.
That's life in the big city.
Mhm. Right,
That's
right.
it. Not many people can pay cash for a home, so
No.
you have to deal with that.
And that's why it's stretched out over so much time.
Yeah, so you
Takes
can
takes
afford
the
it.
paying off, yeah,
but
so you can
it's,
afford it.
I'm with a couple yesterday buying their first home, and they're kind of asking me, okay, how do we figure this out? What we're going to pay? I said, well, you got to talk to your lender, which by the way they came preloaded, which is why they didn't call you. They came preloaded, so they got a cousin or something that's doing their loan, and so I said they'll give you an idea, and then you take your property taxes, divide them by 12, and add that to your monthly, and you'll know what you have, and they're kind of running the numbers in their head, and they're going, oh my God, we're going to suddenly be, and I said, and by the way, you got to cut the grass once a week. You got to shovel the sidewalk when it snows. You have to clean the house.
Yep.
You have to take care of all this stuff. And it's a little overwhelming for them sometimes, but you try to counsel them through that and let them know that it'll be okay. You'll get used to it. The garbage guy will come every week and you'll get your cable TV hooked up and you'll be home and you'll be living and you'll love it.
Well, and if you look at some of the stuff that's going on, and I know you have because I see your posts, rent's going up.
Oh, yeah.
It's going up 10, 15%. I give the example of the gal that I know whose rent's going up 19% here last week. It's getting crazy. It's actually cheaper to own than to rent anymore. And you made the comment about the investment. I kind of think of it this way. There's three big investments, and I think you and I have talked about this, and I may have said to you, BT, you got a house, getting married, and having a kid.
Yeah.
And the only thing we have any control in saying when somebody is, when they buy a house, helping with the mortgage and stuff like that. It's stressful. I mean, think back. You got married, I got married, we have kids. I mean, think about it. And how we felt when we went through those things in our first house and stuff, we forget those things. So we want to make sure we take care of these people the way we wanted to have been taken care of when we bought our first place.
Yeah, I put myself in that position. It was, I had this couple out last night, and we looked at a duplex. And looking back, I wish I, as a first-time home buyer, had purchased a duplex. Lived on the top floor, rented out the bottom, and then when the time
My
came,
wife still wants to do that.
You know what? And if you do that...
but you get one floor, she gets the other.
Exactly. When you're 25, you do that, and then you move out when you're 30, but you don't sell that duplex. You hang on to that.
Yeah, and you're able to.
Yeah, if you can do that, 30 years down the road, when you're trying to put a kid through college, you sell that duplex, you're cashing out on that thing, and somebody else is paying the mortgage for you, or most of it.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous investment, and I talk to these two, and they're kind of like, I don't know. And you got to have the stomach.
You got to be a landlord.
Oh God, you got to.
Other people's problems.
Oh my God,
and,
Well, the thing was with the duplex,
at 3 in the morning.
But you've got to say over who's going to rent that side. So that's the one thing about it.
Yeah,
And the nice thing about the duplex is,
that.
bottom line is, if you do it right, that rent on that duplex side is pretty much going to pay for your mortgage.
Yep.
You're still getting the mortgage write-off. You're getting the rental write-off.
Taking the
You're
depreciation
increasing the
on
equity,
it.
the depreciation on it. You're right. And then when you decide to upgrade down the road, you've already got a history of you've rented this place out for 5 years.
Yep.
So it's not like one of the issues we've talked about before. So hopefully you're in an equity position or whatever, you can make this work out. It's a great idea. I mean, my kids, when they buy, I'm going to push them to our duplex all day long.
Agreed.
I think it would be fantastic.
I'm with you, Joe. I wish I would have done that too.
Yeah, I look, and I had opportunities when I was first, but to me, it was just overwhelming. The idea of being a landlord, and back then, I never could have.
Well, that was before you did. That was before you did Buff and Co.
Before I, had chop saws and things like that, pneumatic drills. And
Will
things.
you come back and visit us?
Yeah, I'd love
Please
to.
do.
I'd love to.
I think we've barely scratched the surface.
Are we done?
Here. Yeah, the show we're
It's not
rocking,
like a 5-hour show. Dude.
Holy
Come
fuck,
on now.
We're rocking. Yeah, it goes by
I
fast.
didn't
but-
drop one Effenheimer.
Well, darn close though. I can see it in your eyes. I can see it in your eyes.
Which kind of surprises me because you and I have hung out with Joe. I mean, Joe gets to be a kind of a fun kind of guy. Fun.
Interestingly, I think he didn't meant to say an Effenheimer. He meant to say a PHenheimer. The way he spells it.
I've been spending all summer with my kids. Thank you for being adults and letting
There
me talk
go.
to you.
Oh, good. Yeah, good. And that's why
appreciate that.
we're going to pull you back
Yeah,
out of that
yeah.
maelstrom and
Yeah.
give you more adult man
Right.
and women time.
You
here.
haven't complained about anything or asked for a popsicle all day.
Well,
that's great.
I mean, you watch his posts. It's always about the kid. What was it? You had to go get ice cream from the hockey rink the other day?
Oh, I had to bribe him to go to hockey
You
practice.
had to
the
go,
other night.
jeez. And ironically, to go to an ice place, they wanted
Hey,
ice cream.
I'll
And
tell
I'm
you-
so far past that.
Listen, before you go, I'm a crazy hockey parent.
I know
Summer
you are.
hockey's the best because it's hot as heck outside. It's beautiful
It's
in the ice
nice
arena.
in there,
It's
baby.
I'll take an ice arena at 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night in August any day.
Here's something to look forward to. You're
Good
bribing with
planning.
ice cream.
Yeah.
My kids are all older now.
Yeah.
I have to bribe them with beer.
I'm drinking my beer. They
Yeah.
buy their own.
Yeah, well, your time is coming, Phunn.
Yeah,
Your
thanks.
time is coming. Joe Anderson, come back and visit us.
Thank
All
you,
right?
guys. I
Yeah,
will.
Please, we'll pull you back in here in the next month or
I will.
two.
This
We'll
is
get some more
fun.
summertime together. Tom Smith, have a great week ahead, my brother.
BT yourself. I'm going to head out of town. I think in the morning. You doing anything fun?
Now we're going to have a lot of fun with some friends we haven't caught up for a while, so we're going to spend some time at their place out in Vadnais Heights. They got the hot tub thing, a lot of acreage to blow things off. I'll come back.
nice.
You'll be calling me Stumpy Turner.
And my daughter's having a party, so I'm going to give Joe's the address because he's only a block away from her.
He's fun, that
I'll
guy.
hear it.
He's fun. We'll catch you next week on another edition of the Mortgages and BS Show. See you then.
Adios.